Hello everyone, in this video we'll continue what we were studying in the last video, which was about CBM. Now we already studied that CBM is equal to currency plus reserves. So as it's liability of central bank, it basically means that supply of these will always depend on central bank, right? And second, the interest rate is decided at the point where CBM supply is equal to CBM demand. Now, as we learned in previous videos, demand for money. So now we are going to understand the same concept but in a different perspective. Now, demand for money, basically money has two different types, which is currency and checkable deposit. Now, as discussed previously, checkable deposit will have liability of central bank, right, with commercial bank, because they have reserves. So whenever checkable deposits will be demanded, commercial bank will demand reserves, right, from central bank, and currency is directly under central bank. So again, now these two parts, which is reserve and currency, will make up CBM. So whenever demand or money will be demanded, these two things will be demanded. These two things will lead to demand for CBM. Now this is equal to CBM supply, because that can only be fulfilled when CBM is supplied. So this is the point where interest rate is determined, and this is the equilibrium point. Okay. Now if you guys remember, then we learned the formula, which was MD equal to $Y LI. This is brought up again over here because now the money demand that we are considering now, okay, in the previous videos we were not considering this term, which is checkable deposit, and that is why things went very smooth. But now we are going to introduce this particular term over here because it is very practical to add it in our calculations, because in real economy we actually have checkable deposits up. So now, but determinants are going to be same. Okay, now you may wonder how. So currency, you'll only demand currency when your level of transactions are high, right? And when it's low, you'll demand it comparatively lesser. So number of transactions is also an influencing factor for currency. Make sense? Okay. Now again we have LI over here. So in the last case we had interest for bonds, but now we have interest on checkable deposit. When we deposit some amount with a commercial bank, it does not mean that we are going to get it back as it was, right? For example, we deposited 100 rupees, we may end up getting 105 rupees at end of a year. So that particular rate of interest that determines the final value or the amounts that we are going to get basically determines the demand for checkable deposit. So again we have MD is equal to $Y LI. Okay, from last 2 to 3 videos we were talking about MD is equal to $Y LI. But in this video we'll talk about this MD. As previously discussed, this MD now consists of currency and checkable deposit. Now again, to make things clearer, we were not talking about checkable deposit in previous sections because we were not talking about money demand in this detail previously because we were just considering the fact that currency exists in the economy. But now since we have introduced checkable deposits, so we need to make calculations accordingly. Okay, see it. Now say you basically denote currency for demand as CUD, right, and for checkable deposits as DD. Now let's assume that the amount of currency is C. Okay, so automatically if both of these terms make up money, then if there are C units in currency, then 1 minus C will make up checkable deposit. Therefore CUD, please pardon this over here, is going to be over here. Yeah, so CUD is equal to CMD because this is the currency demanded of this money demand. We are talking about parts of money demand now. Okay, so this part shows the currency part of money demand, that how much currency do we require. Now DD required equals 1 minus CMD, which denotes the part of money demand that is in form of checkable deposits, right? So CMD plus 1 minus CMD is equal to CMD plus MD minus CMD is equal to MD. So basically it is the same MD as this was. Okay, just that we have added further calculations and we have added this checkable deposit in our calculation. So yes, this is it for this video, and in the next video we'll be talking about these parts in a greater detail. Thank you.